Back at it again. It's the Football Playbook with your boy RIC in the place to be. Representing New Jersey here at the Jersey Shore, broadcasting around the universe. Ryan Dorn, the only one checking in from Florida. Good to see you. Vermonta Williams, welcome to the show. Buckle up. Konsu down in Florida. Slasher up in here. All our chat room people in the front and the back. Where you at? Coast to coast. It's the Global Show, Football Playbook 89th edition, 33 days away from the Super Bowl. And I'll tell you what, it's basically a 33-day window. Orlando, Florida, the real zeal. A lot of Florida people up in here. I need me some Florida. And Ray is present. I need me some Florida sunshine in my life. And I'm not going to get that here at the Jersey Shore. But the next closest thing is my good friend Gayle Saunders from fourthandjawn.com joining us here on the Football Playbook. Buckle up. Good morning, Gayle. How we doing?
Morning, man. Top of the morning to you. The Eagles got a bye week, so I'm living the dream right now. Got a weekend off. We don't normally have these during football season.
Yeah, we got to rest up for the playoff energy, man. It takes a lot with the 18-week gauntlet these days. You're out there each and every week. Road and away. Unbelievable, by the way. We'll get into the tailgate takeover. It was so much fun. I know you guys were back out at this past weekend, but first and foremost, it has been a long season. How confident, first of all, how happy are you that they do have the number one seed and finally on the third go around clinched and sealed the deal? But what's your confidence level now going into the playoffs in this 33-day window?
I mean, I'm confident. You can go back to that Super Bowl run, the last one we had. We didn't go into the playoffs super high. We lost the quarterback. We had Nick Foles play a stinker versus the Raiders. So, I mean, overall, I think I'm feeling confident. I think it's right now it's building up the energy in the locker room. They know what they got to do. They're all professionals in there. We have a bunch of leaders in the locker room. I think they're going to get right. They know what's at stake. So I'm feeling very confident.
Yeah, and I heard Jalen post-game like, hey, it runs through Philly now, and we just got to clean up these little details. But that's a big deal, especially like if you have to face a team like San Francisco, who, quite frankly, they're the hottest team in the league. Now, that's a big deal. San Francisco traveling across country from sunny San Francisco to play in the cold of Philadelphia, as opposed to Philadelphia flying cross country to San Francisco. But you mentioned 2017, Nick Foles, that magical carpet ride. Man, it's hard to imagine that Brock Purdy is able to get the job done. But, man, this guy has defied all odds. Are you putting San Francisco as the number 2 team or the number 1 threat to the Eagles postseason Super Bowl hopes?
In the playoffs, sometimes it's really about how good is your defense. And, San Fran has definitely shown what they got. I also think the Eagles defense has shown what they have. I mean, they put up some record numbers. They get after the quarterback. I mean, at the end of the day, as good as Brock Purdy has played all season, he hasn't seen a front like the Eagles yet. So I think getting him at home, I'm not, that would be a different beast. I mean, anyone who was there at that the Falcons Eagles game, you know how rowdy and loud that was, like an earthquake. How loud and crazy Eagle fans are during the playoffs. So it's a different level. I think so far they've been probably the number 1 threat to the Eagles.
Yeah, and somebody asked an Eagles fan, Izzy down in New Orleans, checking in, wanted to know if weather will be a factor. It says here, unfortunately, Gayle, it's going to be kind of nice. They're anticipating a high of 44 degrees, a low of 30 degrees here on January 21st. So not quite the winter wonderland that we were hoping for, but the home field crowd, right? We'll make up for it.
I mean, this is like the percentage of going to the Super Bowl is always higher when you go through your own on your own terms, on your own home turf. I mean, it just gives you a little bit of an advantage. So I think they just have to take advantage of that. I think they just really got to be locked in. I know Eagle fans, they get rowdy about every single topic about the Eagles and the way that they looked last game. I think, they're just knocking some rust off. getting the number 1 seed, that was really the most important thing. Like now we're on to the next level. You know, everyone is 0-0 right now. It's put up or shut up time.
Yeah, and I know somebody said we're not focused on the Super Bowl. We're focused on the next game because that's the most important game. So they have kept this week by week mentality. You mentioned knocking off some rust. Well, Jalen Hurts was a little bit rusty. What did you make from what you saw? I thought it was a good thing that he got that out of the way there to kind of test the pain, know what to expect going into the playoff game. However, I am a little, like, very little concerned about the limitations of Jalen Hurts, the designed QB runs. I saw him take a sack and throw an interception where, you know, previously maybe he would have tried to run the ball or avoid those plays. How much does that concern you? Do you think we'll see a more one-dimensional Jalen Hurts come postseason time?
I don't think so. I think he's gonna. I think from a gamer's perspective, he's always shown that he can take it to the next level. I think being you know, his pedigree, and you know, he knows what's resting on his shoulders. I think playing the Giants and just trying to lock up the number 1 seed, they're trying. I'm sure they were probably telling him, let's not do too much if you don't have to. So I think he was holding back part of his game. You know, but like, I do wonder exactly what percentage of Jalen Hurts are we getting at this moment? You know, like, is it a 95%? Is it a 98%? Or is it a 92%? Like, I'm not quite sure yet, but I think he's going to be ready to go. I mean, you can't hold anything back. You know, seeing that I believe that the best thing for this football team was to lose to the Buccaneers, you know, a year ago. It gave them a sense of a learning lesson, some maturity. I think they're going to hold that with them. You know, like, what do they have to do to get to the next level? You look at this season, 14-3. They, you know, now it's about bringing your lunch pail to work and going to work and showing what you got.
Yeah. By the way, the Bucs will play the Cowboys on Monday. So if they're one of the, you know, the Eagles are going to play whatever lowest remaining seed. It could be the Giants, it could be the Cowboys, it could be the Bucs. But the fact that Tampa Bay and Dallas plays on Monday, I think everybody would probably sign up to take the Giants right now, right? But I mean, the fact that they're playing on Monday and then they got to turn around and play the Eagles on a short week while the Eagles have the bye. I mean, that's another slight advantage, right?
Yeah. And then the other advantage is Brady has never lost to the Cowboys.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, you just talk about playoff experience. It's another level. Like who can bring their game to the next level? And Brady's he's done that. The Cowboys have been reeling as of late. That Washington game wasn't so hot for them.
Sam Howell, huh?
Hey. Yeah.
All right. Listen, let me ask you about a possible Tampa Bay rematch, though. Is that something where you feel like the Bucs and Brady and the boys are back on track, or they've just fallen off so much from the last time you saw them that they shouldn't be too much of a problem? What's your?
No, I think they're gelling at the right time. I think they've lost a lot of linemen due to injuries, so they've had to get themselves together in that arena. But I think that experience will sometimes show. I mean, Brady, like, what was that? Who did they come back against a couple weeks ago? You're just like, that's, you know, at the end of the day, that's Brady. Like,
The
Brady,
Panthers, they came back against, I think, and
yeah. I mean, Brady, when you have Brady on the field, you know, you have to defend the whole field. He gets the ball out quickly. He doesn't really like to take sacks. I think, if anything, the Eagles, who have been getting after quarterbacks, and it looks like a National Geographic set out there, like they're climbing all over these quarterbacks. You know, especially with the way that Hassan Reddick's getting to QB, I would be concerned if I'm QB. You know, you got to get that ball out. But it's Brady he's a smart QB, and he knows how to He's a guy that exposed kind of the Eagles defense in the middle of the field. Every single team after playing Brady last year exposed the Eagles defense in the middle of the field and the seams. So I think again, I think it is a different defense this year. But
yeah, and I think Brady does struggle against pressure, especially pressure up the middle, something the Eagles can do.
Yeah.
And 70 sacks, man. What third most all time in NFL history? And I was reading 53 of those 70 sacks came on 4-man fronts, which is the most of all time since they've been keeping track of these kind of stats. The second most in the league this year, Gayle, is not even close. They're not even in the same stratosphere. The second most sacks on 4-man fronts in the NFL this year is 38. Eagles got 53.
It's crazy.
It's unbelievable. Yet, here we are. Half the chat room wants Jonathan Gannon out of here. Both he and Shane Steichen up for head coaching jobs.
That's a very interesting conversation. Like, it's either some people say it's the team and not Gannon, or the defensive unit and not Gannon. But I think it's Eagle fans love aggressiveness. They would like to see more aggressiveness, whether it be, you got the corners to man up and do what you want to do. Like, I feel like watching some opposing teams come in and bring their number one in the slot and then, leave just Size Scott out there. Like, you can, if you need to move one of our corners and follow a guy, you could do that, or bracket a guy early and not wait till half to let, a guy who's ripping you up. But I think those games, whether we hated them or not, it's a learning lesson. So, if they take that and build off of it for the playoffs, I hope so, man.
Well, where is the one Gayle Saunders? Since you are literally the pulse of the people, where is Gayle on the JG thermometer? Are you happy? Like, do you want to see him stay, or are you not going to shed a tear if he goes and leaves for Houston?
I just think I think the guys in the locker room do like him. I think I think they would like to probably be unleashed a little bit more. I'm just kind of like, when you get a young coach in here, or you get a young QB in here, everyone's like, give the QB a time, just like we gave Hurts time. I think as a young coach, he has to still learn and develop. So he's still in that learning and developing phase as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. He was just a DB coach.
That's what it is. I think we have Hollis Thomas on our show. He gives it to Gannon, every other week, depending on the situation. It's just like, the bend but don't break. You don't want your defense out there doing yoga for 4 quarters. I mean, like sometimes you just want them to unleash and just send the house at sometimes. But we're all just hoping that he figures it out. Like, but when you get a top-notch quarterback, like I said, talk about Brady, we know where, we don't want it to be 7-11 in the middle of the field, always open 24/7. You gotta lock that up, because the Mahomes of the world, the Bradys of the world, they're gonna find those soft spots in the zone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a different nature of the beast when it comes to playoff football. We're talking to Gayle Saunders, fourthandjawn.com. And let me ask you about Shane Steichen then, because he's got 3 head coaching interviews this week. 2-part question. How much of a distraction is that going to be for the Eagles? And then also, I kind of felt like Steichen dropped the ball in terms of showing his diversification of the offense when Gardner Minshew was in there. He had an opportunity to kind of adapt and adjust. It seemed like he just ran the same offense, took out the designed QB runs, and tried to fit a square peg into a round hole. To me, it was a missed opportunity. The rest of the league is not seeing it that way, because he's probably the most requested coordinator this week. It seems like he's as good as gone.
I think I've met Steichen and I also met Gannon, but like Steichen is definitely a stoic kind of dude. He's definitely, I love his creativity. I love what he's done with the offense. I think him laying an egg against the Saints, I was like, okay, he put up a stinker, but also, at the end of the day, I think, I mean, teams love offense, and if you got a guy who's doing some creative things with his unit, you're going to want that. I'm not exactly sure how he is in the locker room. Is he head coach presence? I'm not sure. I've never interviewed the guy, but I've met him a couple times. But I think what he's done for the Eagles and Jalen, much respect, because he's made an offense work for a quarterback and in his offensive unit this year. I mean, everyone's flourished. I mean, the numbers they put up has been amazing. But he's got some really good coaches around him as well.
Yeah, they say his ability to connect with players, and especially Jalen, goes a long way. I do wonder, though, because Brian Johnson is another name here.
Exactly. I was going to mention him. I
mean, like, how much of an impact and influence has he? Because I feel like Brian Johnson doesn't get enough credit.
It's funny you say that, because I was going to mention him. Like, he doesn't, as a guy who's not only been a mentor off the field in Jalen's life, you kind of put him in this incubator system with guys that he can trust, and they've developed him nicely over the year. I think Brian Johnson doesn't get enough love. I'd love to see what he brings to the table. It'd be interesting to see if Steichen left, who they would elevate, or would Nick go back into that role. Because it was very interesting when then Nick Sirianni, they moved off from him. Obviously they were like, I'm not sure where they came from, or did Nick's like, hey, I'm going to take a step back, or was Howie like, how about you take a step back? And you know what I'm saying? So we'll see.
No, we will see. And apparently Gannon wants to bring Brian Johnson as part of his staff to Houston with Mike Zimmer as his defensive coordinator. And so
is it big Fangio time?
Well, Fangio is being shopped as a package deal with Sean Payton now.
Really? Okay.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting. The head coaching carousel is in full throttle here as the end of the regular season amps up. Let me ask you this, because somebody in the chat room said in regards to Steichen, like, he threw the ball 10 straight times to start that game. I really thought Miles Sanders needed to get back into the fold, and it irks me to death that the media doesn't follow up, because Miles continues to tell us he feels fine. The knee isn't an issue. Sirianni continues to echo, well, we're preserving him. The knee is an issue. We're getting conflicting reports. I know it's Boston Scott time when they play the Giants, but I mean, Miles Sanders, I mean, you need this guy. You need his head right. You need his game right if you want to run the table here, in my opinion. What do you make of the whole situation?
Well, I believe he was rocking a brace in practice, and then he removed the brace. Not exactly sure, it's that, with Miles Sanders throughout his career, he's dealt with the nagging injuries, soft tissue injuries. And I think he had the ankle last season. What he got was the Raider game that he got hurt. You're just hoping that he's at least, I mean, at this point in time, all the players are injured. There's a lot of players that are dealing with injuries. I think if you're going to have to put him on a pitch count, maybe they were putting him on a pitch count the last couple weeks. I do feel like you talk about that Saints game. He started off with a missed block, and they had Gardner running for his life on the second play. I was like, all right, is he? I heard Mobb Deep in the background. Shook One's playing, so I thought Sirianni could have got him in a groove with the running game. So I think if you look at Boston Scott, he looked pretty. He had a good game on Sunday, and I thought Gainwell, he had a couple nice runs. So I think we do have a nice little stable. I'm not that concerned yet.
Fair enough. Or a little Earth, Wind, and Fire remix in the backfield. How about the offensive line? Because people aren't exactly thrilled with the Jack Driscoll performance. We really don't know what Lane is going to give us in a couple weeks, and they've been reluctant to kind of move Mulata over to right and slide Dillard over at left. How does Gayle Saunders want to see this offensive line reconfiguration, or do you think Lane will be good to go?
I think he's going to give it a go. I think it is definitely a concern, because you look at our record without Lane in the offense. It's definitely a point of concern.
12 and 21. Yeah.
Because I think you talk about the extra pressure coming in off the right side. Lane's a guy that hasn't given up a sack. So Driscoll, I mean, it's tough, and the fact that they don't have faith in Dillard, it's always for me is in Stoutland we trust. So if that's the way he sees it, he feels like that's his best unit. It's just going to be depending on who we see. I mean, that could, you've seen the Boses of the world. That's a tough,
Well, we saw Cam Jordan took full advantage of it a couple weeks.
It's got to be Chip City somehow. Like you got to have it's going to be all about the chip. If you need to bring someone, we'll see how Lane goes. I mean, it's definitely a tough injury. As soon as he started going down, I was like, this has got to be like some sports hernia thing. Like we've kind of seen this before. Players try to tough this injury out. It's really about he's gonna have to be a warrior out there, and I know he knows what's at stake. So we'll see if he's ready. If they feel like they can give him. I don't know, man. I think Lane will be like, I'm going.
I know he's gonna give it a go. I just wonder how much. We talked about what percentage is Jalen and what percentage is Lane going to be at. We're talking to Gayle Saunders, Fourth and Jawn, Davey Boy in the chat room. Why would you run Miles Sanders against the Giants when you have the Giant Killer? I get it, but there's a bigger picture than just the Giants football game, Davey Boy. There's a bigger picture in the Super Bowl. You need Miles Sanders to be clicking on all cylinders. Ryan Dorn says Dillard is a freaking bust, but Barrett Brooks says the best offensive alignment when Lane Johnson isn't in there is Dillard at left, Mulata at right. So we'll pop up Brian Baldinger next week and settle that debate. I want to get to the secondary situation with you, Gayle. Couple of things happening here. We mentioned injuries. Darius Slay had a back injury earlier in the season. It kind of died down. We didn't hear too much about it. I wonder if that's starting to flare up on him because his performance over the second half of the season has been shall we say, a fall from the Pro Bowl caliber level of play he was playing in the first half. How do you see that?
Well, yeah, it's sometimes players won't always tell you. You might not even hear about some of these injuries. And I know some fans have been coming at Slay, but again, it is what it is. You're gonna have these moments where players are gonna give up some. I think he's. In terms of like stepping it up and giving it his all in the playoffs, I think we're going to get that from him. I mean, the kind of stuff that we're getting from Eagle fans is like, I don't like that he's smiling after this play. It's giving me shades of McNabb. Every player has their own style, whatever they need to do to get them up, they're going to do. What he means to this locker room is more important. I think a communication aspect, we're talking about mixing in guys, like Josiah Scott. I know didn't want to put him on the street, but he had to say we all got to do our job. That's how he answered that question for the 3rd and 30. But I think I think having CD back, CJ, we're gonna need that guy. He's flashed in that Giants game, but at the end of the day, it's really about communication.
Well, that led me into my probably final question here with you, because Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, we saw him in the slot a little bit during the nickel packages. Then he slid back there at safety in the dime. Are we going to see more of that? I have not heard anything on Avonte Maddox. I think if he gives us anything, it's a bonus at this point. I
think I don't believe that Avonte is going to be ready. It would be a miracle. It'd be nice to see him, but I think they're keeping him around, hoping that as they move further in the playoffs, he'll be ready down the road. But I do think with that versatility you get from Chauncey, I think that's all you can hope for. You have a guy who could, especially in the seams, we need that guy with some range. Avante's got that twitch you like. But we got you talk about dog in him. Chauncey brings a level of moxie that what the Eagles defense needs.
All right, Gayle Saunders here, fourthandjawn.com. If you really want to listen to one of the best podcasts, you mentioned Hollis Thomas. I was listening to the show on the way down to the tailgate takeover. You guys had me cracking up, but truly, the pulse of the people here. Gayle Saunders, the tailgate takeover. I want to talk about that here before we let you go. We did get a question. What sweatshirt are you rocking there, Gayle? We had a question coming. Where'd you get that bad boy?
This is the I saw Mike Trout had this very early. It's the Nike one they just released. You can pick it up. Rally House is where I got it. If you're looking for the I call it the Mike Trout hoodie because everyone's always calling me like about new gear. So that's where I got it.
I saw you doing some customized kicks too. Is that a Gayle Saunders thing? I didn't know you dabble with that.
Yeah, I mean that's it's kind of like it's my thing.
Yeah,
it's just like it's actually therapeutic. Do
you have a website? Like, are you selling those bad boys?
Yeah, I mean, like people will hit me up, like be Christmas presents. Like I did a pair of Bengals ones for a friend the other day. I'll do some Eagle ones here there, and I'll drop them off to like some players' wives or like, hey, I would like something for game day. When I have time. But it's definitely therapeutic.
Okay, very cool. Somebody's saying that's the 89 hoodie throwback. Okay, back in the day, way back. Does Gayle still have any starter jackets laying around from back in the day?
I probably have about I got a whole bunch. It's a problem. I actually picked up the 90s Parkers, the Kelly Green ones from back in the day, which is my favorite.
Oh, baby. I want you rocking the FUBU pants on the next show appearance, okay?
Oh, you want some Zubaz pants?
The Zubaz.
I'll do a Zubaz. Anyone want a Zubaz custom? That's actually been on my radar.
Is that right? I need me some Zubaz, man.
Eagle Zubaz shoes.
Tone needs some Zubaz, man. Hey, we got to talk more off the air, but I gotta get some shout outs off my chest here. Big shout out to Conche Bakery. I saw they had the DeMar Hamlin tomato pie at the tailgate this past week. Hollywood Hearn holding it down on the cheesesteaks.
Oh, the guy.
Johnny on the turntables, man.
Yes.
Bud Light holding it down, man. You guys treated me so good. You rolled out the red carpet for me at the tailgate takeover. We had so much fun. I'm
glad you guys had fun. I mean, at the end of the day, like it's really about bringing people together and breaking bread with Eagle fans from all over the world. We had fans from London, Australia, North Kakalaka. We had
I saw that, bro. We had when I was there, the girls from Europe, they were drinking the Moet straight out the bottle. They were having a really good time, man. Unbelievable. Yeah,
you never know who you're gonna I was telling the story on our podcast. I met my sister for the first time.
What?
I found out I had a half sister through Ancestry.com through my cousin.
What, she tracked you down at the tailgate?
Well, she brought my cousin brought my half sister that I've never met before in my life. So like when I say you never know what's gonna happen at the tailgate, you never know who you're gonna meet. So crazy stuff, but always a good time, man. We had a great time. The playoff energy was there. I thought the game was not so much playoff energy, but the atmosphere around the link. Everyone's excited. Everyone showed out, even though it was just the Giants. Who weren't playing starters, the playoff energy was alive and well in the parking lots.
That's what I heard. True story, by the way. I was, very just kind of overwhelmed and humbled too, just from a lot of different, just the welcoming, the Eagles fans embracing me, the street cred that JAKIB Sports had out there. And then between the 4th and Jawn and the Football Playbook fans and everybody else who showed up.
Come on, Rick, you're a legend, man.
I mean, I don't know, man.
I've been following the RIC for a minute, like, bro. I'm telling you.
I know, but in the Philadelphia community, you're quite got some weight. You got some stature in this Philadelphia community.
Nah, I'm just a dude. We're just
I don't think so. Not based on what I've seen and heard.
We're just dudes who love the Eagles like you guys do. So
hey,
at the end of the day,
all I'm going to say is reserve me a spot January 21st. I think I'm coming down to the playoff tailgate takeover. Did you guys discuss plans yet for that?
Yeah, we got some. We're trying to like really make it a big one. So bring the energy. At the end of the, bring the energy. Like at the end of the day, it's really about gearing up for the game. The pregame is where you bring the energy. So bring that into the stadium. Be alive and well. Make it really rowdy. Make it loud. I think it's going to be insane. I'm trying to rest. That's why I'm gonna take the bye week. Zen out. Me and my girl gonna go somewhere, just relax, do nothing. Maybe watch some games, order some food at a hotel. Like I'm taking this weekend off. Might be local, but I'm still just getting a hotel and just kicking back, watching some games. And
well deserved. Hey, you can go down. Maybe we'll huddle up at the pre and post game down at the Ocean Casino Resorts. I'll hit you up.
Okay.
But
you gonna be down there?
Maybe if you are. I go where Gayle Saunders goes these days.
Hey, you tell me where party is. I'll show up.
All right. Well, listen, we'll chat more off the air. We'll have you back on hopefully before the January 21st showdown, which is, 11 days away. Thanks so much, Gayle. Give the listening audience at home a little taste of what's to come on the latest podcast, fourthandjawn.com. Anything else you got going on? That
we go live tonight. If you want to join our show, we'll be going live tonight at 6:30, just breaking down the game. Also, just
I can do that. Yeah.
Breaking down the vibes, heading into the playoff weekend. Really just getting geared up. If you guys want to check us out on all socials, we're at Fourth and Jawn. You can check us out at fourthandjawn.com. And again, we always welcome everyone to our tailgate. Everyone asks, how much? It's free. It's all about vibes and bringing a good time. And at the end of the day, it's fly, Eagles fly.
Yeah, baby. Just show up.
That's show all you up. Do. Pull up.
And we'll take care of the rest. There he is. There he goes. Gayle Saunders at Eagles Sessions. We appreciate the time, my man. And I know he'll be throwing some updates up there on the Twitterverse. And parking, was $45. It's pretty much standard unless you have a bigger SUV or RV vehicle. I think is 90. It's typically $45, and I found street parking right off the exit there. Didn't cost me a damn thing. I had the Lagunitis for Ocam's Razor, but he didn't show. However, listen, the Fourth and Jawn tailgate is the only place to go if you're attending the Eagles game, and the Football Playbook will be buckled up, hunkered down each and every home tailgate next season. So Jason Dean, thank you for the comments. William Stark, Adams Exploits Phillyapolis. I see everybody up in the chat room. TK, welcome to the show. Izzy Hertz, Daz Deals, Ryan Dorn. Hey, smash that like button. Let's get it in. We're here weekdays, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern. We're going to take a quick break, pay some bills. When we come back, I still have awards to give out. We're running out of time, so maybe we'll get into some awards. We'll get into some playoffs. We'll get into some NFL draft talk, whatever direction you guys want to go. I'm here for it. Tone the Shields, the second, holding it down. The super producer will be back right after this.